Hey everybody, Teching 101 here. Vampire Berry plushies on sale now. Getting down to the wire here, last couple of days. It's November 4th when I'm filming this. They're going to be on sale until November 7th, so you got like 3 days left. So if you haven't gotten one, get it, and then they're gone. All right? Okay, cool. That's... follow the link down below. Link probably somewhere around here, sporadically throughout the video. Advertising. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Vivi, okay, as you can see from the nice Vivi figurine I have back here. So, a lot of stuff happened in the last chapter, 11:30. Don't worry, we're almost at 11:31. It's later this week, don't worry about it. I know we got the One Piece shivers. It's like, where's the One Piece? But it's coming soon, don't worry about it. So anyway, we had a lot of crazy stuff at the end of the last chapter, right? We had Luffy running into Loki, and then we had the full view of ELBAF and all that stuff. Which, by the way, while we're on the subject of that, let me just ask, which did you find more impactful? Like, what was a big, like, whoa moment? The reveal of Loki chained to a tree or the reveal of the giant country? All right? Because, I'm a geography guy, so I lost it when I saw the tree as the entire country of ELBAF, but I think a lot more people focused on Loki. But let me know about that down below. Anyway, there was other stuff that happened, okay? Most notably, there was a small scene with Robin, Frankie, Jinbei, and Brooke, and the giants that were on the Great Eric looking at a newspaper, and they see a couple of things in the newspaper. For one thing, we know that bounty inflation exists in the One Piece world, and Dorian Bragi's bounties are now 1.8 billion, so that's interesting. Still need to make a video about bounty inflation. I need a collab with, like, an economics YouTuber or something, because I don't know anything about inflation. But whatever. Anyway, there was that, and then there was also an image of Luffy in Gear 5th that was in the paper. And there was a lot of questions exactly who took that picture, because, like, who the hell was on Egghead that could have taken that picture? I think it was Jinbei that mentions, like, oh yeah, well, Morgans has eyes everywhere, and also he, lot of money in getting pictures for the World Economic Journal. So it might have just been a regular Marine. It could have been anybody, really, anybody could have just wanted some extra money in their pocket and would have taken a picture of Luffy in Gear 5th, okay? It might have even have been one of the Vice Admirals, because that's not really, like, betraying the Marines. It's more of just like, hey, Morgans is offering, I don't know, 500,000, a million. I'm trying to think of the good amount of money. Well, how much money do you think it would cost to get some footage or some pictures from Egghead? You know what I mean? It's like, Morgans would have to definitely make it worth your while. It's a damn war zone over there, right? It would have to be several million berries at least, okay? At least like 10 million or something, to make it worth your while. But anyway, someone took that picture, and from what we can understand, since Vivi is with Morgans on his flying tea kettle ship, Vivi took that picture, like the master copy, took like a Sharpie or like a magic marker or something, and then marked an X on Luffy's arm on the picture. And then since that was like the master copy of the picture, that's the only one they had, every subsequent copy, I guess they don't have Photoshop in the One Piece world, every subsequent copy in the newspaper had the X. And Robin, even as she was reading the paper, she goes out of her way to mention that, like, yeah, the image of Luffy, winding up his arm in Gear 5th, that's really blurry, because Luffy was moving around a lot. But the X is crystal clear, like it was added later or something, right? Now, the great thing about this is that the Straw Hats that are on the Great Eric that got the newspaper that are looking at this story have really no idea what the X stands for, because they were not part of the crew during Alabasta, right? So that is only something that Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper would really recognize as a symbol of their friendship with Vivi, okay? So Jinbei, Brooke, and Frankie would have no idea, and Robin kinda does, because Robin was at Alabasta. She was Miss All Sunday back then. Remember Alabasta? Remember the halcyon days of the One Piece world before giant Gorosei yokai monsters were attacking everybody and there were giants chained to trees that were going to end the world? Back then, it was simple. We had a Bond villain that could turn into sand that... What was Crocodile's plan anyway? Project Utopia. I guess just to get Pluton and just nuke everything. I guess that was his plan. Whatever. Things were simpler back then. Anyway, so Robin was around. She had definitely, encountered Luffy and the Straw Hats at various locations during the arc, so she would have maybe recognized the X there. Also, she joined right after Vivi, left, right after the tearful goodbye with Vivi on the shore, and the Straw Hats raised up their arms in solidarity with her. They sail away, and then almost immediately Robin pops out of the kitchen like, oh, hey, everybody, I made some tea. By the way, I'm your archaeologist now. I'm joining your crew. And Luffy's like, huh? Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, sure. Right? So she would have definitely seen the mark at some point, or maybe heard one of the Straw Hats like talking about it, mentioning it, something, right? But she just can't quite place it, all right? So let's dive into this on how exactly, okay, first of all, what is the exact message that Vivi's trying to get across here, okay? So she puts an X on Luffy's arm in the paper. Obviously, if the Straw Hats see that, they're going to recognize it. That's Vivi that put that there, because she's the only person that knows. But this isn't exactly like the 3D2Y message that Luffy used, before the time skip, when he rang the Ox bell and he had the 3D2Y, and it was like a message to all the Straw Hats of like, wait a minute, I think I know what he wants us to do. Instead of meeting in the 3 days that we planned at Sabaody, we're going to wait 2 years, and that's kicked off the time skip and everything. That was a direct message. Rayleigh actually came up with that one, not Luffy. So what exactly message is Vivi trying to convey here? Is she trying to say, hey, friends, I'm alive? Okay, that's good. That's good just to know that she's alive, because everything's crazy right now with Reverie. The Straw Hats do not know. It is not certain that she is alive, because the last piece of news that came out was she was missing. Right? That was like, she's missing and we don't know what happened to her. They know Cobra is dead, because that was a big news story. So they know Cobra is dead, and they know Vivi is missing. So probably what the X signifies more than anything is just Vivi trying to let her friends know she's not dead, she's okay, she's alive, okay? Okay is sort of like she's trapped with a giant bird and Wapol. So, is it the optimal situation to be in? Not really, but, she's fine. Vivi can handle herself, right? So that's probably ultimately what she's just trying to get across here, okay? But because I don't think there's any indication that like Vivi intends the Straw Hats to see this and then immediately think that wait a minute, the X mark, Vivi is with Morgans in the World Economic Journal's home base. We need to go there and rescue her. That evil bird bastard must have kidnapped her. I don't think that's the message she's trying to convey. I think she's just trying to let everybody know she's okay. Now, Vivi is definitely going to arrive in this arc. I am locking that in now. Vivi's going to arrive at Elbaf. She is going to be the final member of the Straw Hats. She's already a member of the Straw Hats. It's just that she decided, I can't travel with you. I need to stay here in my own country with my own people and help them. And that worked great for 2 years, but after a while, with everything going on right now with Cobra and Eam and also her ancestor Lily and everything like that, Vivi is like, okay, it's time I rejoin the Straw Hat crew properly and I get, on this adventure. I need to let them know some stuff, right? And we need to figure all this stuff out together. Like if they go to Laugh Tale and eventually learn the history about, with the Rio poneglyphs, and they learn about Vivi's ancestor Lily, Vivi should be there for that, okay? It kind of makes sense. She's kind of part of this now, all right? She's part of this in a more significant way than anyone had ever assumed, when Eam was, looking at her image very creepily and everything like that, and then he's sitting there, he's just like, Lily, yes, she's the one that caused those vexing artifacts to exist because of her blunder, or maybe it was on purpose. Rah! Eam is very upset whenever he talks about these sort of things, right? Okay, so this is great. Couple of options here. I'm going to throw out my headcanon version of this first. All right, and you just think how this is going to go. This would be pretty awesome. Probably not going to happen, but this would be pretty awesome, okay? So, the Straw Hats, they land on Elbaf. We're talking Robin, Jinbei's group, okay? They land on Elbaf, and then they look up, and out of the sky, they just see someone falling out of the sky, right? It's like, who's that? Who the hell's that? Frankie's like, enhance, trying to see who it is. And then, out of the sky, Vivi, decked out in full combat gear, goggles, military outfit, and a parachute. And she activates it, and she lands, and she pulls out a shotgun. And she's like, all right, everybody. The princess is back in town. Let's go. We got poneglyphs to find. Frankie, Jinbei, and Brooke have no idea what's going on. Robin is like, Vivi! Been a while, man, okay, let's... It's like, alright. Vivi lights a cigar, just like... Let's go. Just like, we have stuff to do. And just like, we have the world government to take down, alright? They killed my father. And just like, oh shit, Vivi, you're really intense now. Okay. Probably not gonna be that. But but that would be badass. Vivi with a shotgun. All right, okay, all right, fine. I do want Vivi to run into this group of the Straw Hats first before she runs into the Straw Hats, like the original Straw Hats from, like, the East Blue up to, and then Chopper as well, okay? Because when Vivi lands, she's probably not going to be by herself, okay? Like, because I think Morgan's ship, it's either Morgan's is going to land on Elbaf, which makes sense-ish. I mean, like, Morgan's is not really the best fan. Like, the government probably doesn't like him too much right now, considering he's printing all these stories. He's kind of going off the railroad. The government used to be paying Morgan's to be, like, keeping stuff out of the news. But now Morgan's is on an adrenaline high and maybe a coke high, too. Maybe cocaine bird, right? He's really with it right now, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna print everything because this is so insane. Vegapunk's message, rising sea levels, Luffy killed Vegapunk, sure, throw that in there too. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like Morgan's has any sense of journalism integrity, like since he decided to stop taking money from the government and printing whatever. He's just printing whatever because it's fun. He's not like, oh, the government's like, hey, we don't want you to print this. Oh, screw you, you're going ahead with it, right? So he's still very duplicitous kind of guys, but the government really doesn't care for him right now. So Morgan's can't exactly land just anywhere in the world. He's got to make sure to go somewhere where the Marines and the Cypher Pole and the government aren't going to be lurking around. Elbaf is one such island. Now, Elbaf also seemingly has a law in place that if there's any intruders, they, like, capture them, if not kill them. In fact, one of the reasons why nobody seems to really give much of a crap about Road kidnapping people is like, hey, it's the war land, and they're trespassers, so I guess it's cool if Road just captures them and throws them in their Lego city, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna torture you now and get, eaten by a giant cat. Like, apparently nobody really ultimately cares about that, so, maybe not a safe place necessarily, but at least safe from the government is at least something there, okay? Vivi could also just, like, go up to whoever's, I guess the ship is being piloted by the news coup, and I guess Morgan's is the one that kind of orders the news coup around, so, I don't know, Vivi could always take Morgan's hostage. Vivi does take out a shotgun and holds it up. It's like, Morgan's is like, you're gonna land this ship in Elbaf right now! Morgan's is like, oh boy! Wapol's like, oh! like, Vivi's really going intense with this, right? Morgan's is not a weak guy, though. Morgan's is not a kind of character that can just be overwhelmed immediately. I mean, like, he did beat the crap out of that Cypher Pole agent, all right? We don't know which Cypher Pole agent that was. He might have been like Cypher Pole 4 or whatever, but he did beat the crap out of him. And I don't know if you guys knew this. There is a popular theory, and I'm 100% on board with it, that Morgan's used to be a member of the Roger Pirates. There's a dude on the Roger Pirates, I think his name is like Mr. Monoma or something like that. Maybe that's a My Hero Academia character, whatever. It's like something like that. And he has a hat that kind of looks like a bird hat, and he has a bunch of little buttons on his hat. They're like 3 unique little buttons, and those buttons also appear with Morgan's. And Morgan's is old enough that he would have been a member on Roger's crew. Morgan's made his first big splash as a journalist when he was 15 years old, and he wrote about the God Valley incident. How the hell was Morgan's even able to get information on the God Valley incident unless he was there on Roger's crew? Because there weren't that many, like, that was an isolated kind of incident. And Roger's crew, Garp was there, Rox's crew was there, God's Knights were there, Tenryubito were there. Who wrote the story, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's possible. But anyway, we'll see. Or, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Could be possible that Morgan's was a slave and one of the people that Kuma saved. Because Kuma, when he had the power of the pawpaw fruit, when he ate the fruit, it was mentioned he saved like 500 slaves on that island. Maybe Morgan's was one of those slaves, was freed from God Valley, immediately wrote the story, and that's kind of like what punched his ticket as a journalist, and all of a sudden everybody knew his name because he wrote about God Valley. Maybe. Anyway, so we at least know Morgan's is probably strong enough that, like, I don't think Wapol or Vivi could, like, overpower him in terms of strength. Okay, I think Morgan's is powerful enough to he's, like, stronger in terms of those two characters, right? Unless Vivi gets some major power-up, which she very well might. The whole Vivi eats Monet's snow fruit, that's still on the table. It's still on the Sunny somewhere. Yeah, sure, right, whatever. Anyway, so if Morgans and Vivi and Wapol, I guess, because he's there too, might as well throw him in there, all land on ELBAF and they do end up meeting with Robin's group. This would be great because Vivi and Robin know each other. It's a little bit of a strained relationship, just, considering everything that happened with, Crocodile and all that. But I think they could move beyond that at that point and be like, it's been like 2 years. Robin could be like, I was betrayed by Crocodile. He tried to kill me too, and I wasn't really loyal to him in that sense or anything like that. It was more of just like, that was my job at the time, but now I'm with the Straw Hats and we're family and everything like that. And Jinbei, Brooke, and Frankie can vouch for all that and stuff. Robin's not a bad person, And then Vivi can also, he's like, oh, okay, well, nice to meet you all. I'm Nefertari Vivi, right? Princess of Alabasta Kingdom, and used to be a member of the Straw Hats. I guess I am technically. And so I'm, like I said, I mentioned this in the review. I'm sure Jinbei, Frankie, and Brooke, have heard of Vivi. The Straw Hats have mentioned her before. They've read the newspaper occasionally. Vivi does show up in it. I'm sure they know that Vivi had an interaction with the Straw Hats, but they've never actually met her before, is the only thing, right? So something that I just realized that would be really good, though, is that if Wapol is also there with them, none of the Straw Hats know Wapol as an enemy. Once again, maybe some of the earlier Straw Hats, or some of the older members of the crew mentioned like, oh yeah, we fought against this guy at Drum Island, Chopper's Island. His name was Wapol. He was an asshole. Okay? Maybe they mentioned that at some point. Maybe Chopper brought it up at some point, but maybe they didn't, okay? Because Wapol is the dude that invented with his Baku Baku no Mi, Wapo Metal, which I don't know if you guys remember, Wapo Metal is the shit that the Frankie Shogun is made out of. So that means we could have a scene, and I kind of hope we do. We could have a scene where Wapol, Morgans, and Vivi show up, and Wapol's there, and he's really nervous, and he's like, oh man, the Straw Hats, why did it have to be the Straw Hats? Why of all people did we have to meet the Straw Hats? And Frankie is there, and he's just like, hey, what are you all upset about? Calm down, buddy, what's going on? What's your name? And Wapol's like, I'm King Wapol. And he's like, wait a minute, you're King Wapol? You're the King Wapol? Inventor of Wapo Metal and Wapol Industries? He's like, yes, I am. Holy shit, dude! I've been using your metal for years. I made a Megazord with it. I mean, it's not here right now because the Sunny disappeared, but like, dude, I am a huge fan. Can you sign my hat? And Frankie takes out his cowboy hat or like his leather jacket. Hey man, sign my jacket. Wapol's like, and what if Wapol like switches his gears immediately and he's like, wait a minute, one of the Straw Hats likes me? Okay, I can maybe roll with this. Oh, yes, thank you for being a fan. Oh, yes, young man. Hey, here you go. I'll sign that for you. Yes, Wapol of Wapol Industries right here. Right? and Robin, Jinbei, and Brooke wouldn't have a moment to be like, hey, Frankie, don't get friendly with that guy. He's an enemy. He's a bad dude. Because they wouldn't have any idea. I mean, I guess there was that one movie where Frankie was present during Drum Island, the 9th One Piece movie. Instead of Vivi being there, it's Frankie, and they have the Sunny and everything. It's kind of like a weird alternate parallel universe telling of Drum Island, where that's also introduces Mushiro, who is Wapol's brother, who does not show up in the manga. But at any rate, that would be a cool interaction. And I mean, Wapol makes Wapo Metal with his Devil Fruit ability. That's what he uses to make it. So, in theory, if Frankie was like, hey man, I have an idea for some cool inventions, but I need more Wapo Metal. Can you throw some together really quick? And Wapol would be like, yeah, I could do that. Just give me a bunch of scrap metal. Throws it out. Oh, that's disgusting, but awesome. Okay, and then Frankie could make some new weapons out of Wapo Metal, because Wapo Metal is apparently like a really cool alloy. It's like a shape memory retention alloy. And it's like, I guess how it kind of maybe explains away the idea of like, it's a Megazord and it can kind of change shape a little bit when it goes from the tank to the motorcycle, and like certain parts of the metal kind of stretch and retain a certain shape. That's the reason why. It's mysterious metal, as Luffy would call it, right? But Frankie was stated that he knows how to use it, and he's like, this is a revolutionary new invention, a new metal, and Wapol's right there, the inventor of it. So I want to see some of that there, right? let's see, Morgans. Who could like I see like Robin discussing some stuff with Morgans as well, because Morgans is like big news Morgans, and he spreads news and everything all over the world. I feel like all of the Straw Hats, maybe except for Brooke, would know Morgans very well, just because like he's famous. He is literally the one dude that has monopolized information distribution in the entire One Piece world. Essentially, he's the one guy that owns the monopoly on print media. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure like Jinbei definitely would have known about him because he used to work for the government too. Maybe Jinbei and Morgans could have an interaction, could have a back and forth kind of thing. Maybe we learn a little bit more about Morgans' backstory. Maybe this is the point where Morgans finally transforms back into his human form because he has the bird fruit model albatross. What if he turns back into a human and he is Mr. like Monoma from Roger's crew or whatever, right? Maybe. Okay, who knows, right? So anyway, at that point, Vivi is like now part of that group of the Straw Hats, and it's like, okay, we need to go and we need to find the other Straw Hats and all like meet back up together and organize and figure out what we're going to do because the government killed my father and I don't know what's going on because Vivi did not see Eam. Wapol did. So this could actually be, Wapol might actually be the fucking linchpin that lines this all up together because he was there. He was looking through the people in the empty throne room. He was seeing the Gorosei in their yokai forms and Eam like dissecting Cobra's corpse or like going over it and being like, whoa, and so that's what fucking Wapol saw, and he started running like crazy out of the place. So he knows Eam exists. He knows the Gorosei have their yokai forms, which the Straw Hats know that now too, but whatever. Eam existence is a big one, and he also knows what happened to Cobra. Now I guess the idea is he didn't tell Vivi yet just because of how scared he was. Like, he was really afraid of telling anybody about this because if he tells somebody, then he could die. But he also might be at a point where it's like, dude, you're already on the run from the government. You're already a fugitive. You're already out of here. People are going to be looking for you. Like, you can't go back to the way you live. It's either you are with us now, and we don't even really want to be with you, but it's either you're with us now or you go back and get turned in with the Marines and the government eventually just kills you anyway, right? So maybe Wapol will be the one to actually sit them down and explain, like, okay, fine, I'll tell you what I saw. I don't even know what I saw, but I'll tell you what I saw. I was looking through the little hole there in the empty throne room, and I was trying to see what was going on, and I saw this creepy giant massive, I don't even know what the hell this thing was, and it was with the other members of the Gorosei. What really is going to come down to it is when Wapol started spying on that room. Because if Wapol just started looking into that room, like at the tail end of that, when Cobra was dead and the Gorosei and Eam were like looking at his corpse, then maybe he doesn't know the whole idea, he doesn't know the whole picture, he just knows that the Gorosei and this other shadowy figure killed Cobra. But if he started listening well before that, like, did Wapol hear the whole conversation between Cobra and Eam about Lily and about the poneglyphs? Like, when did Wapol like join this conversation here? Okay, that's really important to know, because Wapol might be able to be like, yeah, Cobra was in the room and I was jealous that he got an audience with the Gorosei and I didn't, so I started listening in, and they were talking about the will of D, whatever that is, and they were talking about these poneglyph things, and there was this person, this shadowy person sitting on the empty throne, and that shouldn't be the case. And right then and there, that's going to at least make Robin be like, what? There was somebody sitting on the empty throne that, like, effectively rules the world. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. And then they turned into a giant monster. And then the Gorosei turned into giant monsters. I'm like, oh, no, okay. And then they killed Cobra. And it's like, whoa. And then there was this blonde guy there that could shoot fireballs. I'm like, oh, that's Sabo. Cool. Okay, he was there too. I'm glad he's still doing okay. What happened to him? He got stabbed. And then he ran away. It's like, whoa. So, like, when did Wapol, join this? So, like, at what part here does he know? Okay, at the very least, he know Cobra was murdered by the Gorosei and Eam. At least, the very least, he knows that much. But there might be a little more. Right? So then it's Vivi, Robin, Frankie, Brooke, Jinbei, Wapol, and Morgans, and I guess the Giants as well, joining their own little group and then going off to try to find the rest of the Straw Hats. And then I think I'm going to end that right here, because that's like going into like, okay, I have no idea what the Straw Hats, like what Luffy's group is going to be up to, because Luffy jumped off the bridge and he's talking to Loki and he might free Loki. And then the rest of the Straw Hats are still on the bridge. Like, where are they going to go? And it's just like, and then are they going to go up into the tree, or what's going to happen? So at that point, I'm not really sure. But eventually they're going to all come back together again. Nami and everybody's going to hug Vivi and be like, oh, Vivi, you're back. You're okay. I'm so sorry about your dad. Don't worry, it's okay. We can figure out a way to, avenge him or something. We'll take down the government, And then eventually, they have their adventure on Elbaf, but they make their way ultimately to Laugh-Tale, and they maybe learn the true history about Vivi's ancestor, Lily, and everything. Also, here's an idea. What if... Because we know Lily disappeared. Lily went somewhere, okay? We don't know what happened to her. That's kind of the whole point, right? And even Eam probably doesn't know what happened to her. I mean, you could just say that Eam had her killed, but maybe she did escape and get away and do something. What if Lily escaped to Elbaf? What if Lily made it to Elbaf and the Giants kept her safe? I guess it would be right after the Void Century, so around 800 years ago. Which would mean that some of the Giants might actually have a decent memory of that because, we know Jarl is still alive. He's 400 years old, alive. That would mean Jarl's, grandparents might have actually known Lily. So there might have been a story passed down to his family that he might remember. And he's like, oh, yes, Lily. Oh, she was lovely. She came here seeking safety from the government, and we, helped her and everything like that. And then maybe there was something they left, for, Vivi to find. And so maybe Vivi finds another letter left by her ancestor that explains what's going on here or whatever. Maybe something there. And if not, when they get to Laugh-Tale, certainly there will be some information there about the Void Century and stuff. Well, anyway... That's the video. Just wanted to talk about that because there was a lot of stuff that happened in the last chapter, but the thing with Vivi's message seemed to be a little bit overlooked considering all the other crazy stuff with Loki and Elbaf and all that. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Teching 101 signing out. Vampire Berry plushies, end screen. There's a link there. Thanks for watching, everyone.